And hello, welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
Hi guys, happy Friday, and I hope you guys are all safe and healthy tonight, and have grabbed a drink and a snack, and rolled one if you got them, and have your drink ready because it's Friday night. You know what happens on Friday night? We get real nerdy with a whole bunch of news together, though, in the most humanist way. I feel like that it's very important to cover everything that's going on, and there's too much to cover all of it. So the topics that we do cover, I feel that I try to choose them as topics that, as a humanist or even a humanist group, society, would find these either troubling or important enough that everybody in the group and everybody that group knows would want to share it. So because of the humanist reasoning, you know, if you see injustice, you want to help spread the news and share it. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. And we have the best thumbnail. I about spit my coffee out when I saw it. I was like, that's amazing. I love it. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good.
It is really good. It is really good. So I believe that I am starting with some headlines tonight, and then we'll be ending with Yahweh tweeting. Maybe he is real. I guess we'll find out. This is the definitive.
He's got a profile.
He does. Yes. I like Jesus on YouTube too. Skateboards and his Jesus. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think I've seen that.
Always like,
Jesus.
yes.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ is what he goes by. Okay, guys. Let's see. There probably are a bunch of amazing people in the chat. Let me say hi to everyone. Hi, everyone. Although my phone is not showing us on there. So hopefully that's just me. And because after a certain age, like 40, the brain starts to go. That's my story. Okay, I got it. Hello, everybody. Inquisitive. Okay, and that's what I need to know. Theo, too. Theo's going to love this story. Infamous war criminal. There's so many, right? Well, the one that is kind of big importance, and we need to pay attention to what he's doing. And honestly, like, we should be watching him, seeing what he's doing. He has social media. He has other things at least once a week. And paying attention because, I mean, he's an all-around evil, vile, anti-democracy, a sellout. He'll sell his ability to, or his, if he doesn't do it personally anymore, his private mercenaries. You know, they're hired to not come over and walk your dog and make sure your cat has water. They're mercenaries. And some ex special forces like SEAL Team 6, all the top, the elite, the best. If he can get his hands on someone who has left the military, they've done their, you know, the years they signed up for. Eric Prince likes to get them. Other private, killer organizations, but other private mercenary groups also like to have these type of people, and they have many type of people who got dishonorably discharged, and they hire them. That's the opposite of what any mercenary group should be doing. So Eric Prince, in case anyone didn't know, is our Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos's brother. A war criminal. And he is trying very, very hard, I have to say, to privatize the war and occupation. He wants to privatize the war and the occupation in Afghanistan. I've said it. I don't think the government has any um, wants to get out. Their occupation in these countries, and then there's more than a couple, is to be permanent. So, all under the popular quote, bring home the troops slogan, he wants to replace US personnel with smaller groups of private contractors, also known as mercenaries. Private contractor is just a nice way to say killer for hire. And also ex special forces operators. It's scary as fuck, actually. If Trump allows, he hopefully only has, a couple months at max left. But if he is reelected and he allows this type of fascism to even be a part of any war in Afghanistan or anywhere, actually, it's not that I don't think, it's that I know that is not better for anyone, for the people and the country we're going to occupy. These people are not beholden to anyone but the private corporation they work for, who pays their bills. And private contractors get paid. They get paid. So why wouldn't a young soldier who did 2 tours and he's still in his 20s, his time's up, why wouldn't he want to go and make, 5 times what he makes in a year in 6 months, and doing what he's been trained to do already? They don't have to answer to anyone either. Like our military is, we have transparency bills that are part of our laws that allow us to see how many of our soldiers, our sons, our daughters, our uncles, our family members, our friends, have died or got hit by IUD. That way we can know how many IUD accidents there were, how many ambushes there were, and we can actually have a factual history. Well, private military groups do not have to answer to anything in the government, so they wouldn't be working for us. They would be working exclusively for the military industrial complex. And that's scary. So I wanted to say that Eric Prince is like Mike Pompeo a lot in their beliefs. I don't know about, I'm sure, in many ideologies as well, but in their beliefs, they are both evangelical types of Christians. They believe that helping get all the Jews to Jerusalem, to Israel, they're both Christian Zionists, which for these two people is very confusing because they're also anti-Semitic, often saying, those tropes about Jews in banks, you know them, they're just fucking gross. So they're both. They need all the Jews to get to Israel, and because they believe that this book called the Bible says that the Jews are the chosen people and they need to all have their own nation, that it is his duty as a Christian to help make this happen. And if that means, well, I'll just say, they say, by any means necessary, they have no problem helping rid Israel of the indigenous people that are there. And I have to say this as, as an American that had that happen to our indigenous people. And I know that it's different. Nothing's black and white, but it is pretty similar in the tactics and in the way that young children are taught. And I think we're seeing Israel's option, if you will, or hope of a two-state solution fall apart. And if Israel keeps Netanyahu on, as we keep Trump on, and more right-wing leaders have been elected and more left-wing leaders have been elected, but that's just a couple that we knew were going to win. And mostly what we do as a military industrial complex of the USA is if a country starts using most of their resources to help their people, we have to intervene because reasons, good ones. Not only is he a true believer and that he believes that it's a calling, this private contracting is a calling from God, and that he is a Christian soldier. Yes, he likens himself and his, group of mercenaries as the Crusades fighting the battle that was, prophesied. And I mean, there's so many things prophesied in the Bible, just like Jesus telling the people that were in front of him that he would be back in their particular lifetime. There's lots of stuff in there, lots of shenanigans. However, he wants to do this for profit. So who he is, a bad person. He's loaded. His family's loaded. He has a lot of power by the connections that he has. And he wants to do this for profit. Yeah, I feel like a teacher. Yes, Mac, I see your hand.
Hi.
There's no eating in class.
So, I mean, I just wanted to caveat, you need to get paid to continue to do murders for God, right?
I mean, there were money tables that got turned over, but, you know, science, I think they see science like they see their Bible. If something's inconvenient, they just ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If like before you're done with this topic, I'd like to comment more, but go on. Sorry.
Right. The private army, a private army who has committed war crimes in the Middle East. I know you guys know about Blackwater, and then it's had to change its name many times and change locations. Its last big location where it did a lot of, you know, in intelligence and that type of world, the currency is information, and that's how it's been, and that's how all intelligence agencies are. It's not just here, it's everywhere. So the more funding they have and the ideologies of the ruling party in said country, wherever it may be, is going to have a lot to do with the outcome of the citizens. I mean, it really will. And if this guy wants to put a private army who did commit all these war crimes in the Middle East already, and has had to change his name and move countries. This guy also moved to China, and worked right under, what is it, Z? Yeah, it's Xi, mistakes. From China, their leader. Yeah, he is, I call that a traitor. Here you are. So, but if you're a private contractor, I guess, I mean, it's not looked good. They don't look at it and go, oh, that's wonderful. It's frowned upon. But he did move to China and move his whole for-profit mercenary there and help them with things. And if a military member, let's say my brother, who was a Marine and worked at the White House as one of the guards in his dress blues, he's very handsome. Just had to say that in his dress blues. He looks so handsome. He's so tall. If he had finished his term as a Marine and decided to take what he learned and go over to China and help them, like, it would just, he's a regular citizen, so that would be considered, horrible. How could you? They're communist. Actually, they're not. communist. It's just in the name. So I hope everybody knows that. US imperialism is the reason we are still in Afghanistan. Fact, point blank, period. There are no other reasons but to further occupy and like control. I don't want to say like dictate, because we are not the leader there, but we do make sure that the leaders in these countries like Afghanistan that we're occupying are approved by intelligence and the CIA, and of course that's how that works. They're favorable to the Americans. US military plans on permanently occupy Afghanistan and steal their mineral wealth. I couldn't find many other reasons. Like I said, I've many months ago and many times have we talked about US soldiers guarding poppy fields for the warlords there. And they feel disenfranchised. They get back and they're thinking, I was working for a warlord and in my uniform to protect his poppy seeds from other warlords coming to demolish them. So they're just making up work for them to do because we have to occupy them. If we can't leave, is what they're saying, because they say that the military there hasn't been prepared. This war could vote. This war is old enough to vote now. So you're right. They are a kid, but they're an adult kid. And it's not our responsibility. It just isn't. And if we had focused our money instead of bombs and warlords, war crimes, instead built schools and implemented K through 12 and made sure that they were being taught education, modern education. I think that the reason why they wouldn't do that is, they don't want them to be educated and informed, because it would be harder to control them when they're just scared of the bullies that are in their nation occupying it. They are easier to control. So, like I said, every time I would look up why or read about why, I would come to mineral wealth. They are full of it over there. And why this is not about Iraq, but I did find out, which we all know, what's the number one reason? You follow the money. And for Iraq, we're going to occupy it forever because they have oil. And we are, a little bit more supremacy than you because of reasons. And we should be in control of those oil fields, not you, for other reasons. And we should also control who gets to buy it, and we should also control who gets to reap the rewards. And we can't do that if we're not occupying it. Capitalism plus imperialism, to me, equals a little bit of fascist. It's just very fascist-y. Fascism would be the proper word, but fascist-y is more fun, and it's got a mouth fun to it, a mouth feel. I like it. Fascist-y. So, and if they are private, who are they going to be beholden to? Like I said, there's nobody. And how much of the taxpayer money will these private contractors get instead of our actual troops, who were paid near minimum wage? So imagine, here are our troops working, doing a lot of the same things that they're over there for, through the day-to-day work on a military base or camp that's there. And they're getting paid, $17,000 a year to start, $19,000 I think it just went up to in 2019 for the year. And I know that other things are paid for them, so it ends up being more like 23,000. But they're soldiers risking their life for this nation. Why are we paying them McDonald's money? I don't understand. And I don't agree that McDonald's workers who work should have to struggle either. It is a job, and everybody should be proud of themselves when they're able to take care of their family and provide for their family without struggling. I believe if you work 40 hours a week, whether it's in the military or not, you should, make enough money that you have a living wage, wherever that might be. Student Mac again,
Yes, hi.
teacher's pet.
I brought you an apple. I ate that too. I'm sorry. It's crunchy.
You
Um,
would.
I tried to get it to you, but you
Here's the
talked too
seed.
long
You
and I
can
was
grow
hungry.
your own.
So how much does Blackwater, or if I can say it right, if I remember, what's it called now? Academy?
It's just called Academy now. The
Yeah,
Academy.
yeah.
It was called something else.
In between.
XE something else when it was in China. Yeah.
Okay. But now they're back and based in America now?
Yes.
Okay. How much do one of those contractors make a year compared to
It's different
1,000?
actually. It's a mission, and it's different within all the different private contracting groups. They all have their own difference, but I can tell you that private contractors are known to be able to make $10,000 in a week by doing a mission. And we'll have soldiers who are making minimum wage with them sometimes, as a let's do this together. And I'm not saying that's the norm. I'm saying that has happened. And it's just, I think there would be a little bit of salty feelings between that young or older soldier who's, making not a living wage and risking not coming back alive to their own country. I can't imagine looking over and the person that you're doing this mission with is, making $5,000 every 3 days as long as this mission is completed. And if it's completed early, they get bonuses. And yes, private contractors like Blackwater, who is now called the Academy, and the others are for profit. So being for profit and not having to tell the citizens anything about your operations saves our military from having to put a flag over a coffin and do the whole family, like let the whole pay for, help them pay for it, pay off the wife forever or the husband, pay their children death payments. There's a lot of payments that go into a soldier who has lost his life. And if you are a mercenary working for a private corporation, now that private corporation may have benefits for you. However, they don't have to let any of us know. And so they're not counted in, this year in Afghanistan, we lost this many soldiers. Well, if we could count all of the private ones who have lost their lives and limbs, the numbers would be much higher. But it's a way for the government, which our government really used private death squads, which is the same thing as a mercenary squad in Central America and South America decades, especially through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And that's what they want to do. Now, those death squads weren't on the books. Nobody knew about them. They weren't supposed to exist because it wasn't something that was done. It was the military's job, and that's it. So,
So I have a question then.
Mhm.
because Blackwater or the Academy and other private contractors for war and mercenary kind of things, they also supply like security here in the States for like private companies and stuff too, right?
And for people like, say a famous person that
Or like Donald Trump, he'll hire someone like
has ties, and
that.
not even just him. If a candidate who is running up against, and has got up against anyone, it could be just a Senate race, the private, the CIA or private mercenary, they will protect them. Bernie
Right.
Sanders, when I'm sorry, Bernie Sanders, whenever someone becomes the candidate on the left and the candidate on the right who are going to face off to find out whoever wins, they automatically start getting protection, even though neither one knows who's going to be the president. At that time, they're surrounded, they're protected, and they don't let people get so close. As just like yesterday, they were like, yeah, it's in the back, find it yourself. You're not even a candidate yet. So yeah, everything changes pretty fast if you become a candidate. You are brought into meetings and you're alerted to all of the things that, I mean, you're not getting everything, but you're getting a lot of redacted for us citizens and, classified for everyone else. But because you are running to be at such a high level, you get to you get the breakdown, of what's going on. I have to say that Prince has been begging people in Donald Trump's administration, begging to let him do this. And he's using, like I said, the bring the troops home. Who doesn't want to do that? Left, right, middle, everybody. And so what they don't see is the carrot and the stick, because this is a stick situation. Even though the boys and girls, men and women, would be coming home, it's not going to save the taxpayers any money. It's will save the boys and girls and men and women that came home's lives from losing them, at least in this particular war they're in. However, it's more dangerous for the people of the country that we're occupying. Much more dangerous. They're war criminals. They're in trouble for murder. Many of the guys in Blackwater went to prison for murder, like mass murder. Just open up on random people and just take them all out. They couldn't care less. Said that wrong. So if he, whoever is the last person in the room with Trump is the idea that's in Trump's head. So I don't know, maybe keep him busy. If anybody wants to troll Eric Prince and ask him a whole bunch of questions, maybe just keep him away from Trump for a while. Just for a couple more months. All right. Portland protests. I only have 3 tonight, but they're very important.
I just want to make sure I mention it, because every time we mention Eric Prince, I want to make sure that everyone knows who his sister is.
Betsy DeVos.
Betsy DeVos.
Yes, our education secretary, who has never been to a public school, never set foot in a public school until she became education secretary. She detests public education. She loves that our public education is funded by property taxes. And we all know that poorer areas where people don't make enough to pay property taxes, that their housing is low cost housing. So of course the school in that area is not going to be funded. 2 blocks over is a middle to upper middle, and even some very wealthy people who are in this area for public schools. So it's well funded. And Betsy DeVos loves that. And every time teachers groups and unions and mothers, and there's tons of us, or tons of groups that have gone to Washington, D.C. to beg them to stop funding them like this. They should be funded equally. Betsy DeVos hates that. She is just as evil and vile as her brother. And unfortunately, she's not smart. She might think she is. She's not smart. I've never seen her answer one question in her entire career. And also her husband started, what was it, that first MLM, uh, AMCO. AMCO is a scam. Like, there's scams. And Betsy DeVos's husband and her own charter schools. Why do you think she's pushing schools to go back? Profit. Charter schools are for-profit education, which is appalling. Is appalling. So, yeah, that's her and her family. Portland protest. I know that you guys know that recently Trump and our House and our Senate and many governors actually got into the conversation that, okay, if we read the Constitution, it says but we can't use chemical weapons on our own people are bad. We didn't know, we forgot, or whatever the reasons were. I'm sure they were a little bit better than that. However, Portland, many people have been sprayed with tear gas. They're being war crimes, chemical weapons are being used on Portland peaceful protesters. There have been some what they call a riot. They have a couple weird rules in Portland. They have to actually declare it a riot in order to do certain things. So as soon as people start getting loud, if a couple people are talking loud and debating each other down here, and you have that down here, no fighting, just debating, and then a fight breaks out, immediately they declared a riot, and the tanks come out, and the military cops come out, and the SWAT team and the undercover cops come out wearing your clothes, pretending to be just like you. Nondescript military kidnapping is going on. Now, this is really serious. They're using vans and minivans that are rented. So one of them, the last one that I saw with my own eyes in the video, the license plate had Florida on it, and they're in Portland, Oregon. That's kind of far from Florida. So they're all just rentals, and these federal agents or military, nobody knew at first. We do find out eventually in just a minute. But they're in nondescript, completely camouflage head to toe. It looks like they're being dropped off in Baghdad, circa 2003, 2004. It's bad. It looks scary. The helmet, and they don't say a word coming to you. So imagine you are walking by yourself in this one particular video. I will go back and put it underneath for everyone to see if you haven't already seen it. It's viral. A young man wearing black pants, t-shirt, and a black hoodie is walking, and right here pulls up a minivan that's rented, and one military soldier is driving. Three get out, and they go right to him, and he is freaking out because they won't even talk. Like, I think one of them does say, "Put your hands behind your back," but that's it. Not, "I'm here to ask you questions. You're under arrest. You have the right to remain." None of that. They don't tell them anything. They just kidnap them and take them. Now, that particular video, that kid was lucky because there was an organization whose sole job is to go to protests and make sure that they get the names of people who are getting arrested. They write them down because they have an organization. And they were telling him, "Don't worry, kid." He was crying. He was terrified. Can you imagine military SWAT team? And they won't even talk to you. They won't tell you why, where you're going, where your friends can come pick you up. Nothing. So he yelled his name, and there was that group there and said, "We will make sure to get you out." the governor of Oregon, to Trump, said, "Get out." He had no forewarning that these, I don't know, jackboot meatheads were coming, that were gonna, that's how you terrorize people. And that's the whole point. They want the group of protesters from this day on to know that this type of military personnel can kidnap you. They can swipe you off the street and not give you one reason. Now, everyone that was kidnapped by this type of, pull up and kidnap them, as soon as they mentioned they wanted a lawyer, they were all set free, or they were all set free eventually, because they by law can't hold you. They have to have a reason. And if you mention lawyer, and they would rather you leave before the lawyer gets there, because they, like, if you're gone, you're not going to look into it further, hopefully. They'll just move on to the next. And that is terrorism. That's how you terrorize a community. For over 100 years, militias have known about this strategy that the federal government is using in Portland, Oregon today, or this week. Militias have used it forever. You provoke the police or the government or the ruling class, whatever it might be that your militia is against. And you provoke them to react, to overreact, to use tear gas, to spray down with hoses, to shoot them with rubber bullets. One kid in Portland, Oregon, he was holding a speaker in the air, just like that romantic movie from the 80s, holding a speaker in the air. And he got shot in the eye from across the street. And his whole face has had to have reconstructive surgery. And they said it was a non-lethal bullet, so it's okay. I don't think the governor, the citizens, or the guy who lost his eye will ever be okay with that. It's not okay. So, it's a cruel and violent way, definitely. And when militias who are more on the dark side use this as a tactic, they're doing it to make sure people get hurt. Their reasoning is, for every person that gets swiped, 10 more will join the movement, because people who are in that community who haven't joined the protest, who are just watching, they haven't made up their mind yet. They support their citizens, but they don't really want to get involved or get hurt. But when they see a young person or old person, it doesn't matter, one of their community get taken out by the police and start getting kidnapped by the police, well, then they all of a sudden join the movement. So Trump's administration didn't even read like the things you're supposed to read, the manual, like how to do strategic. The Vikings did stuff like this in many wars, did stuff like this to get the other side to get all whooped up, and that's what they did. And so now even more people are going to be involved in the movement. They see their fellow, countrymen, like I said, being hurt, bullied, killed, or oppressed. At this point, many fence sitters choose to stand in solidarity with the people in their community against the now, as they see it, tyrannical government who unjustly militarized and attacked the citizens. Then the movement that the government just handled, as they say, let's go handle it, it's been handled, or took care of, or we shut that shit down. Well, they shut it down or handled it or took care of it violently is what they mean. And that movement becomes solidified, and it's too late. So Trump, which is not listening ever, I would never think he would be listening to us. However, think about that, he just shot himself in the foot because he was calling out this governor saying he was a coward. Um, if I was there, I would handle it in a couple of days. And then without permission of the local leaders, he just did whatever he wanted. And that's called terrorism. You're in there to terrorize these people, to fear. Um, he is not loyal, also, Eric Prince, whatsoever. He has worked for the Chinese government as a. I looked it up. I found so many different answers that he did. Even one that he was a liaison for someone in Xi's administration. I don't know. He's is a bad person, and I do not want to see our. Imagine, our military budget over $1 trillion. I know it. The Congress agreed that it would be 7-something 100 billion. They agreed to up the budget. Left and right both agreed. Now, if we brought them home, all of our American soldiers, and only put in private, well, apparently we could, keep some of that money. And this is what Eric Prince is pushing, fix our infrastructure, make sure schools are well prepared, make sure he even used COVID. We could even be more prepared for something like COVID with all that extra funding. If you just let me privatize your military. Yeah, it's just a sick game. There's a pandemic, and we're number one in the world for what the fuck is that country doing right now. And he's worried about taking advantage of Trump's last few weeks in there to see if he can't get his hands on all that $1 trillion every year, our $1 trillion budget. Yeah, he's a bad guy, and he's doing more. There's a couple things that he's doing right now, and I was like, I don't know. I'll go with the one that's the worst first, so that can at least get out there and people know that the military is. There are people that have wanted to privatize the military and the post office since its inception, and if it's private and the people who own it privately make all the decisions and reap all the awards and make all the rules. And that is scary because these groups, this particular man and his group, as we know, demonstrably know for a fact that he committed war crimes. Why would we think he wouldn't do it again? Like, I just, uh, yes, no, we do not want him. And then, just to be a little bit funny, Trump's secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, 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 McEnany,
Close
McEnany.
enough.
Fun to
Close
say.
enough.
Close enough. She actually said out loud during her latest press conference talking about schools opening way too soon, and Trump's administration is willing and very ready to punish any schools and colleges by withholding funding for schools that are protecting their students and are not going to open until the actual science says that it's safe. So that's her problem. The actual science says that it's not safe and kids should not go back to school in the fall. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't some places where they could, of course, but saying they all need to go back or they won't get funding that's bribery, like blackmail, and not honorable. He's not
It's these
honorable.
people with power, and do they even have the power to do that? Because I don't think they do.
She does not. She
I
does
mean,
not.
not just her, but like, does the executive branch
No,
I don't think so.
no, because he's in charge of federal, and so I guess if there's federal funding to schools who are federal schools, then he probably could do that. However, the high school down the street here, he couldn't. It has to do with property taxes here locally, but many Americans don't know these things, and so he says, and that must be it. That must be what it is because he said it, and that's why media literacy is very important to us.
It's so funny to me. And a really funny in the way I want to laugh and then throw up about it.
Yeah.
That most of the people who agree with Trump on this are all terrified of communism and socialism
And authoritarian and
yes,
tyranny.
then the same definition of dictatorship and
Yes.
authoritarianism. And all they want is for everyone to listen to what Trump dictates.
Yes.
Just do what our president says, our fearless leader. He is Trump. Like, he trumps everything else, right? It's just, obviously, everyone gets it. This is what we're dealing with. But it's worth just pointing out every now and then how double standardly it is. It's just mind-boggling to just step back again every now and then. Like,
double standardy.
Not even.
I dig it.
Thank you. We need to get that on a shirt too.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's very hypocritical, but I don't expect anything more. Actually, I expect that exactly that. I would never punch or hurt or advocate for doing either to another human being unless I was trying to save my life or get away from somebody. However, when I see Betsy DeVos with that fake, like, welcome to Sunday church, and then as the girl walks by, I heard her. I just feel like she's one of those people, we'll pray for her. She feels like she is above. So her brother too. That whole group of people, they're Christian
You
Zion.
talking about McEnany still?
Well, McEnany and that whole group, Trump's administration and the people he chooses to work, they don't go to private schools, and their children don't go to private schools. So, like I said, so what she said after this person asked her, hey, kids don't want to, teachers don't want to, parents don't want to, they are terrified, especially here in Florida, where we're the worst. If we were our own country, Florida, we would be the fourth worst corona infected country on the planet, right? In Hillsborough County, that's the county Tampa's in, is when you look at the map and they have it color coded, wherever there's bright red is where there are like huge hot spots. Yeah, that's Tampa. Deaths every day. It's really bad. Okay, so he wants to Trump. Hold on, no. Talking about schools opening way too soon, and Trump's administration is willing to and very ready to punish those schools and colleges by withholding fundings, which you asked, and no, he can't do that. And are not going to open until the actual science says that it is safe. Our president's press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, replied back to a journalist in the press room. She called on saying, and I cannot make this stuff up. It's just too unbelievably ignorant and embarrassing. on the world stage. This is her comment in reply to the press. Quote, science should not stand in the way of schools opening. So
this is why we do what we do, boys and girls.
and like I don't feel like someone that lives in reality could actually even have a conversation with someone like her, because she's going, oh wow, that's what all the science says. Well, this piece of paper shouldn't stand in the way of kids going to school. Like, if we can't agree what things are and what they're not, what facts are and what they're not, then we can't have an honest conversation. And I think they do that on purpose, because if not, that means that she's so ignorant and just a talking head for Donald Trump that I hope not. However, science equals factual, evolving, peer-reviewed facts that change as new information comes in. So let's try this by changing the word science to facts. Facts should not stand in the way of schools reopening. She's 100% a talking head and nothing more. And I took a screenshot of one of the journalists that were in the press conference room in the White House with her. And she has a folder, that a big one where she can kind of go through, because they have the little tabs that start with A, B, C, whatever, the different names. Whenever you see her standing at the podium and she's going like this, looking through something, each tab has a word, like Black Lives Matter, Medicare for all, taxes. It was just the amount of, I don't understand how she can't remember these. You work for the president. Like, I don't get it together. Okay. One is Fauci. Another one is health. One is election. One is China. Let's see if you can kind of let it. Okay, see, it's one of those. And it has all these different names on it that she can flip through. Right. System. One says Obama, Flynn, COVID, absurd, ballot, test, Goya has its own, LGBT has its own, golf has its own, DACA, lies, hatch, cases, wins, Russia, masks. So if someone asks her a question about masks, instead of just knowing, because he doesn't have these where they talk each morning about he doesn't have them. So she just made a like masks. What am I supposed to say? Donald Trump says blah 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 blah. That's what we're doing right now in this country. That's what we're doing. She is a robot. Maybe she was cloned. She is exactly what Trump would call from. She looks like she's from Central Casting, and that's what he likes. He likes pretty people that never challenge him or question him and keep their lips puckered and up his booty. And she does
I
that
like
more.
you enough to treat you like I want to treat my daughters.
I listen. I know. I listen to
Christy.
the woman who is. Her claim is that she was raped when she was 13 by Donald Trump. She was brought to Donald Trump by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine. I read her account, her report, and it's so Donald Trump. I mean, you're so pretty, you look like my daughter, and took her to his daughter's room, and she brought her friend with her, and she did tell him she was a virgin and she did not want to do that she would do other things but not that, and he told her to shut the fuck up. The account is I have kids that aren't kids anymore, but even still at this age now, like, he's just a vile human. I really cannot wait for her case to go to court. And I know that has nothing to do with his press secretary, but it just mentioning the weirdness of him and his pervertedness, telling, a 13-year-old sex trafficked child that you look like my daughter. Let's go to her room so I can rape your virginity out of you. That I read today because it was posted, finally released, all the papers, and it's hard to read. They also have a video version where you can't see her talking, but you can listen to her and journalist Whitney Webb talk, and let me make a note, post that one underneath. I'm sure you guys will be interested to listen to that too. Whitney and victim rape. Yes, so that is not a story that I want to hear of any of our leaders. I think that should disqualify you immediately. So I did want to add just a couple facts. They aren't stories. More than 5 million have lost their health insurance. And that's the numbers we're getting from the White House. When you get numbers from other nonprofit who are keeping track, they said that that's closer to 27 million. So they did have health care. They did have health care because of their job. They lost their job and now they don't. And then the other fact was 40% of child care centers that open before school starts and where the kids can go after school until mom and dad get off work, 40% of them have said they will not make it. They will have to file bankruptcy if they do not get help within the next couple weeks. So I think we're also going to have to get ready to, or at least I will, to do some economic research and find out just exactly when this. I think that right after the first, there are going to be a lot of scared families because it will be the first time that they didn't have the extra help. The extra unemployment ends on July 25th, and the 600 extra ends on July 31st. So,
yeah, if anyone thinks that the protests we're having now are bad,
oh, just wait. When
wait
people
until
can't feed their families, their children, or I'm hungry, and mommy's like, let's go to the streets. We're not getting out. Yeah, you're right. You think that's bad now? Just wait.
yeah, no, it'll be real bad. There'll be too many people with not enough home to sit in.
Yeah.
What else are they gonna do?
Yep. And the cops are going to, their masters they're there to protect private property. And if you're being evicted, it's not yours anymore. So they're protecting that private property from you. And you have to get out. And I do like there are a lot of grassroots organizations that have popped up all over the country. They set up an app, or there already is an app that they make connected for their local area, and they can just hit the app, but tap it and then hit send alert, and everybody in your neighborhood will get an alert that cops just showed up to try to evict you, to remove you. And if as the cops are showing up at your door to remove you, if 200 and something, everybody in the 5-mile radius either way is on that, and they all come, most of the time, every time I've seen this organization be involved, the cops go away. That doesn't mean it's over or they get to stay. It just means that, okay, you won this battle, but we're still in the war. So look out for each other and your neighbors. Try to get involved with something like that to protect them from being homeless.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is a lot of what New York City residents did for their neighbors when ICE was cracking down. If you see someone getting like kicked out of their house, if you see that, you don't just go up and try to like stop it yourself. You call
Right.
everyone you know, and you all go and try to stop it yourself. Like because you have to. Like this, anyone suffering financially right now, it is more than likely not their fault. It is extremely likely that it is because of how we closed the economy with as little help and support we got from the taxpayer money that we set back for shit like that. And just a lack of so many things. I don't even have the right discriminatory word to say.
Right.
There's so much that goes into it. Like we have representatives that are just completely not in touch with public opinion.
Right. Yes. There's cities like Baltimore who have, on one block, 18 apartments and 7 houses that are they have boards in the windows. Nobody's lived there for years. And all these homes, they have over 2,000 homes in that area. They're owned by the city taxpayers. You don't have a city leadership without taxpayers, because what would be the point? Your job is to make sure the citizens their needs are met, that they're taken care of. And if you are just boarding up houses and at the same time saying, God, our homeless problem just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I can look at that as an outsider and say, you can fix your problem. Like, have the people who are going to be living in that house, a homeless family, well, as a group, let's all help make that house, livable, and start putting people in it. And once they are comfortable and have an address, well, then it's easier to get a job because you have an address. And then once you start getting income coming in, then it's easier to pay bills. And I don't think that any of these houses that are owned by the city and haven't made a dollar for the city, for some of them, over a decade. So what are you losing? You're actually making one family's life a hell of a lot better and safer. Well, if a politician's only worried about being reelected, those kind of things make great ads. Look, we took it back from the government who was holding these houses hostages, and we put needy families in them, and they don't have to pay rent until after they have 6 months down the road, so that they have enough to start paying rent, and maybe start it at 150, and then it goes up to 200, just so they can get back into the swing of things and not be so stressed. Why? Because you care about them. Treat them like, if this was happening to your mother or your sister or your daughter, you would want there to be some sort of option that they can apply for that helps them out. And that is taxpayer funded. I don't mind tax money going to my fellow American citizens at all to help them. So especially with that, with so many houses. And then, oh, one more fact that I was kind of blown away at. 1 in 4 children, 1 in 4 under the age of 10 has COVID in this country. Right. And I'll send you
Wow.
where I got that. I'll put that underneath too. And of course, you could be in a city where there's only 2 kids that have it out of 1,000. So what they do is they take total numbers, so there might be areas where there's a whole bunch of kids that don't have it. So I know you guys know how statistics work. It doesn't mean you pick out 4 kids and one of them must have it. That's not how that really works. Although it would have been easier when I was a kid to understand. And we found confirmation. Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Congressman John Lewis
Yeah.
has died, and it just started popping up. Representative John Lewis is a civil rights icon who began pushing for racial justice in the Jim Crow South, and he died at 80 years old.
You guys know who Chuck Woolery is? Not John might not know because it's an American. I mean, he's not even famous, and he's like a washed up nobody. But he had a game show. It was a daytime game show, and it was really popular. And it ended up being once a week in the evenings for a little bit. But it's the same thing all the time, so it didn't last too many seasons. It went back to daytime. It was called The Love Connection, and the host would have one girl on the side and 3 guys, and she'd ask them questions and have to choose one without looking, and then there'd be 1 guy and 3 girls, and it was totally patriarchal. It was very sexist. It was what it was. If I were to go ask Isabel if she's ever heard of a game show called Love Connection and the host Chuck Woolery and explain the show to her, she'd be like, oh, what's wrong with you guys? Well, Chuck Woolery tweeted that the corona news is lies. The doctors are lying to you, the nurses are lying to you, the hospitals are lying to you, the data centers are lying to you, the government's lying to you, your neighbor's lying to you, your mama's lying to you, everybody's lying, and to not take it seriously. And then Donald Trump retweeted that, with the great American legend or whatever, Chuck Woolery knows the truth or whatever. Well, then Chuck Woolery's son got tested and he has COVID and he's really sick, and I feel really bad for him. So Chuck did what's right and went on Twitter and announced COVID is a real thing. It's real and it's killing people, and it was very short and sweet. He had already got so much shit from the first one before Donald Trump retweeted it, and definitely after, because all the people who know better went after him. Like, are you kidding? You have a platform, use your noggin. Well, then because so many people were commenting about, some people were mean, just like every conservative I know, they don't care about LGBT plus rights unless one of their children comes out gay. They don't care about trans rights unless one of their children come out trans. They just don't care about AIDS because that was the gay disease until they experience it. And this is very common for box compartmentalized thinking, conservative thinking, until it happens to them. So he got a lot of messages on Twitter about, just another conservative who couldn't give a fuck about other people with COVID until it personally touches your life. And Chuck Woolery deleted his entire account. So he canceled himself. There was no love connection.
I guess not. I was looking at the John Lewis stuff a little bit, and I posted a link down below, just of his work, who he was. It's just Wikipedia.
Right?
One of the neat things is, like, this was just reported on. Wikipedia already has his death date on here, so like someone found that, put that in there real quick. Wikipedia is on it, so that's that. Yeah. We ready for a change of pace?
I am.
All right. Let's do this. All right. Let me find.
I'm Jimmy Snow, and let's do this.
Let's do this. Need to have him on here.
I just always want to just give him a hug so bad, and he's anti, like, don't touch me, we don't know each other. He's not a big hug person. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna. If I ever see you, I will warn you, but it's coming.
Yep.
It's coming. I just want to squeeze you. You're so cute, Jimmy. Run my hands through your hair. Just got weird.
It's okay. We kind of get weird on this show. It's kind of weird's kind of normal around here.
It's
All
not
right.
a bug in the system, it's our feature.
Now our feature presentation. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch to screen sharing here. And I'm going to try to have a little bit of a laugh with you guys. We go through a lot of depressing stuff every week. So I thought I'd try to bring you something a little more fun. And these always make me real happy. All right, so tweets of God. And this one's just God. At God, I will judge you. One of my the first ones I saw was "Don't come crying to me, blame your buddy Satan." And "Happy Birthday, America," which was on July 4th. Now start acting your age. All right, you tell them, God. Go up, guys. I also liked "Thanks for the gift card, Jesus." Oh no, I didn't mean to click on it. Another one that really struck me funny was "I hate Father's Day." Christy, you need, and so it doesn't look like I'm just laughing at myself. This is excruciating for me. I'm so sorry. And now she's laughing at me. The snooze button is the ultimate tease. All right, God just, he kind of gets this life. It's cool. So this is just at God. There's usually something decent here. Every couple of days, he says something witty, something funny. I'm going to try to find more good ones and just bring them to the table every week. But sorry, I'm just trying to look for another great one.
My gosh, he like blew up your thread.
Oh no, this is just his page.
Okay. Like, oh my.
All right, I'm gonna end on this one for this page here.
Hide and seek.
First Easter was just a game of hide and seek that Jesus won.
Oh, he is the hide and seek winner. I mean,
yeah, he totally won.
Yeah.
All right, then we have some from Jesus Christ. Also, just like a few.
Just a few.
Beauties. Get your hands off my words. Most of these aren't super great, but there were a couple I like. Hey guys, I took a small vacation. What's up?
I took a 3-day vacation so that you can live.
Thanks for all the birthday wishes. I love you guys.
Oh, just some. Yeah.
Hey America, leave me out of it. Just impeach that orange popsicle already, and I'll take care of the rest. Oh, this cool black Jesus.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So again, not a ton of great stuff.
Kanye West is canceled.
just the words young Jesus.
He was like, damn it, that one wasn't made in anyone's image. How did he make it through? He's
I'm
defected.
actually very excited for the royal wedding. All that.
Okay, Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
Its eye has
Okay.
truly risen.
Okay, I'm extremely excited about this.
Chuck Woolery.
I love the tweet of God. This is one of my favorite pages on all of Twitter. It's just the best. All right, Chuck Woolery. To further clarify and add perspective, COVID-19 is real and it is here. My son tested positive for the virus, and I feel for those suffering, and especially for those who have lost loved ones. Christy just mentioned this, which I thought was very interesting because I had just found it before she mentioned it. But I love God's response here. I'm no Hindu, but they have a concept called karma that I've really started getting into. I'm like, God damn.
Ooh, burn.
Sick burn.
Yahweh one, you none. Yeah. He does have some funny and punny wisdom, for sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you see all those people? Bernie was right. The 1% are a threat to the country.
Them boats.
Yeah, that's what the holiday weekend looked like here.
Yeah.
Our pool, we have a pool, you've been here. We haven't been in it. Stacey and I got in it once. Actually, she stood next to it, and I got in the little one and walked around and then just rinsed off in the shower. There are too many people. They had rules. First come, first serve. You could only stay for 2 hours, and you couldn't bring any guests. You could only go in one door, the same door for out. And then I guess they just gave up and put a sign up saying you enter at your own risk, and the pool's open. So every time it's hot and we want to go get in, we look and it's just like 30 something to 40 something people. Like, no, not one person's wearing a mask. Swim in your COVID water.
Yeah. Speaking of masks, here's some more. Just from this man.
This hoax needs to stop killing people.
This hoax needs to stop killing people. Yes. Above that was two of these I like. To preserve health of everyone in heaven, when people who refuse to wear masks die, I refuse to let them in. And also, when all of this is over, I owe you a new civilization. Also, love that he's wearing a mask in his picture.
Yes, I do too.
I like that he added that.
I do
too.
Yeah, I covered that last week.
Yeah, you did. AP story here. So, you got the church lobby for taxpayer funds, and they got 1.4 billion. Wow, that'll pay for a lot of child rape.
Right.
Says God.
It's gross.
Here's just a pleasant one, real quick. The president of the United States is a fucking piece of shit.
Oh my goodness.
I really wish he would have put amen at the end of that.
The COVID-19.
Oh shit. I almost want to make that my background. That's too funny.
Yes.
The COVID-19, Trump, Bolsonaro, Modi.
Yeah.
19.
Really
all right.
So, did you hear about till you get to the next one, that tests have been showing that COVID is showing up in semen?
Oh no. Where dick mask? Wait, do they make something like that? Anything like that?
If you wanna, then you gotta wear a raincoat. If you wanna, then you gotta put a raincoat. Like, oh, you'll have a baby, or COVID, or AIDS, and then you'll die.
Yeah.
Actually, you can live with it your whole life. I was just being silly and hyperbolic and facetious.
Right?
Right.
Charlie Daniels, Benghazi ain't going away. God says, but you are. Boom.
And I'm an asshole.
Yeah, I saw that. I
You
was
should
gonna wait.
really
I made you in my image, and I'm an
link him underneath so people can, I mean, obviously you just type in God and look at that. Make sure it's that face.
It really was not that easy. I had to type
Ooh,
tweet
okay.
of God. So
Yes, well then
now,
put it after this has been posted, put it in the comments so it'll be right at top.
in the comments now.
Yeah.
So, all right. I will no longer bless America. Instead, I will point and laugh at it.
Yes, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, said a man who owns 600 other men. Happy 4th
Happy
of July.
4th of July. One day Trump's head will be placed atop Mount Rushmore, probably on a stick. I don't know if I could say that.
Oh my God.
Oh, Naomi deserves better. That's not the same Naomi that I know. I strongly dislike it. Oh, humans are the Karens of the world.
Nope, my favorite one so far. The U.S. is the greatest country in the history of the earth. That saying, it is the greatest country in the history of the earth. Yeah. We're number one at something. COVID.
Genuinely surprised at how awful you all are. Ideas were a bad idea. if it's getting so you can't even be a racist anymore without being called a racist.
That sounds like something Trump would say at home, like to his wife, and then her saying, "I'll be in my own room tonight, Donald."
Oh, I like this one. If all masturbators went to hell, I'd be up here by myself. Can't send them all down there. Reality is a hoax. 2020, 6 months down, 3 more to go.
Oh man. Yeah, he's pretty.
Ever been wondering for a sign when the world is going to end? There you go. No one thanks me for Friday anymore. Let's see. She gets fired by CNN for giving Crooked Hillary the debate questions and gets hired by at Fox News. Where are you, Roger Ailes? Hell, the very depths of hell. God says religion scares me. I always appreciate how he always capitalizes me. He's very consistent.
Love me or I'll kill you.
Love me or I'll kill. Yeah, there it is. I didn't get there. I'll stop cursing in my tweets when you stop being so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Sometimes God gets angry.
Didn't think I would agree with Yahweh, but he's made some solid points. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's funny. I have him right here. I'll be looking for him.
Yeah. All right, so I
Yeah,
wasn't just going to go through all of his tweets, and I probably can't. But look at this. Eve was the first Karen. The one who, or the one fruit she couldn't have, she had to have. Talk about entitlement. He goes on. Then what was Adam? A moron walking around Eden and nothing but a a mega shirt.
right. Make Eden good again, great
Make
again.
Eden, yeah.
Yes, I like it.
And then Adam and Eve had kids, and their kids fucked each other and had kids.
Yeah.
And those kids fucked each other and had kids.
And you're the
are
result.
result.
I'm my own grandpa.
Right?
Mhm.
I always take the side of whatever side didn't force me to choose sides. That's good. I like that. All right. So I am pretty much done, except I save a couple of the best for last. So I'm sorry, everyone. I'm not quite done yet. The universe was really funny until it all got political. Also, once you die, that's it.
Good for him.
Oh, that rest in peace, John Lewis. There we go. God's on top of it. I guess he just welcomed him in. This one. This is the one I really wanted to make sure I said before we were done. God, I have made big plans this weekend, which means you shouldn't.
Right. Oh.
All right, everyone.
He said, I made big plans for you. Most of them involve injustice and cruelty.
Most of them, not all of them.
Goodness. As I say, oh, they're gods.
So I hope that brightened everyone's night a little bit. I hope that was fun for everyone. I will have more of those from the past, mostly. Just brushing up on some old ones, some old stuff. I'll try to find some from the Dalai Lama, Twitter gods, and also probably Darth Vader, because he counts as a god, right? Kind of. Yes. No.
Darth Vader?
Yeah, Darth Vader. We can count him, right?
A demigod.
Demigod. Yeah, that's close enough. And then maybe Chuck Norris. I'll get some tweets about
actually. The definition of a demigod is a god fucked a human and made a demigod, right?
You are correct.
It's just like when angels fuck humans, they have giant babies, because that makes total sense.
So I mean, you know what? Then Darth Vader might actually completely count then, because there was some kind of like immaculate
conception
and the Lord, yeah. So actually, I think you hit that nail on the head. Way to go, Christy.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And not just as in our private chat. I thought the definition of a demigod was literally Chuck Norris.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, I think our Lord and Savior might be funnier.
He's pretty funny. All right. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. We will not see you next week. We're taking a week off. We have a lot going on right now. So we're taking a vacation week.
Right. But send me, if you guys run across a topic, a headline, you hear a little bit about it, or just enough that you're like, I want to know. You can, like I always say, you can send requests in that you would like to know more and in depth about anything. It could be about a battle that happened in history. It could really be about anything, as long as it's not about the multiverse or string theory, because I will just color. I don't get it. I'll color you a pretty picture.
If you want to know about like the
Yeah.
DC like multiverse,
Yes. Yes,
I got you
that
covered.
one makes sense.
Yeah.
Supergirl has one, Flash has one, the Legends of Tomorrow, you know.
Thomas Wayne has one.
Yes.
We've got
The
you covered.
Arrow.
An arrow.
Mhm.
All right. We love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us again. Have a wonderful weekend.
Stay humanist for
For
God's sake.
God's
Yay.